Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the RuneQuest rules by Chaosium Incorporated. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. Strong language, mature scenes, and rune magics are on the way. As this is our Glorantha, we will remind listeners that it may vary from the one you already know and love. And now, on to the show. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I am your storyteller and game master this evening, Michael Diamond. We are back with RuneQuest, our Adventures in Dragon Pass series. I would like to thank you for listening and thank you for being a wonderful Patreon supporter if you are. If you've not had a chance to check out the offer over here on Patreon, check it out at patreon.com/theoldwayspodcast. You can also check us out on YouTube and Twitch, where we could be in your eyes and ears at the same time, which is always dangerous. Speaking of dangerous, we have some players who might be in a little bit of a dangerous predicament, but I want to give them a chance to introduce themselves and perhaps fall on their knees and beg for forgiveness. I'm going to doubt that's going to happen, but we'll start to my right.
Hi, everybody. This is Heather, and I am playing Lysana. I keep wanting to say Lysana of Cliffshield, but that is no longer the case. But I am Lysana of the Heraborn. I am a healer, midwife, initiate of the Blessed Earth Mother Ernalda. And as not being a fighter, I am a lover. I'm really hoping that whatever predicament we find ourselves in here in the very short term, well, I hope I can at least be somewhat useful. And my pronouns are she, her.
Fabulous. Next to Lysana.
This is Jake, and I'm playing Vargast, initiate of Orlanth and Shah the Rainbow Worm. So we're in the city now.
Yeah.
Nothing bad will happen there.
Welcome to Boldhome.
Yep.
Next to Vargast.
Hi, this is James, and I'll be playing Finn the Fisherman. And honestly, I think a trip to the city will be good for us. It's going to open horizons. It's really broaden our worldview.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to see you get into trouble here, Trickster. Next to Finn.
Hi, this is Morgan, and I play Alara of formerly Hill-based Stead. Our pronouns are she, her, and I'm a devout cultist of Marangor. And we're in Bolham, where there's lots of lunars, and they've taken notice.
Indeed, they have.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
And perhaps to temper the volcano growing inside of you, last but most certainly not least.
Hi, this is Rena. My pronouns are they, them, and I am playing Faisal, any and all pronouns, initiate of Humacht and of Heller, and I've somehow gotten myself a job shepherding a bunch of country folks through the big city. I'm looking forward to how this turns out.
Yeah, absolutely. Your bumpkin collection has grown, and you have taken them to the only place they could potentially do this safely, which is the merchant district, where the Asaris merchants are. You've gone into a building, you've met a wonderful Asaris merchant, and his name is Lendau, and he has been able to barter an agreement with the local Seven Mothers Temple for you to exchange a prisoner, which you have captured. And as the movement of the market sort of moved back and forth, as the time ticked by, you began to see several different people arrive. A couple of these people were, we'll call them hangers-on. They hung around the area and hung around the space, trying to get a look at what was going on. It's hard to really tell what their intentions are. They don't appear, anyway, to be anything more than perhaps just city folk who don't have anything to do. Which, to the Heraborn here, is going to be a little strange. And the reason why it's going to be a little strange is, in your society, in your clan, there wasn't anyone who didn't have something to do. Everyone had something to do, because that's the way the clan and that part of the Vale worked. Everyone had a job. And so to see someone sort of just, lackadaisically hemming and hawing and just watching and picking over stalls kind of sort of reminds you of Finn. But then you realize that Finn's standing right next to you And there can only be so many Finns. At least that's what you think. At least, well, you hope. But after some time, and perhaps a little bit of mental concern, you see something that you were not expecting enter the marketplace, enter this Asari's temple area. We call it a temple, but really it's just a really big gym building. You see armored men, about 4 of them, gleaming brass-colored armor, big helmets with feathers and all sorts of red accompaniment colors, capes, spears, all marching down this way. And they're doing so behind a woman who's walking in a long, flowing red robe. She is covered with jewelry, silvers. Her face is painted with many facets of the moon, and her blue eyes are sapphires that stalk the hallways here. And people get out of their way pretty promptly. And they get to probably about 15 or so feet. And she stops. And there's a man that walks up behind her who's, again, in armor and wearing a red tunic with a slightly off shade red cloak. And he steps forward and says, "Where is this prisoner?"
What authority are you asking?
He furrows his brow. What authority? The authority of the Seven Mothers Temple? The authority of the lunar government.
So you're here to negotiate?
Again, he looks quizzical at you. It is my understanding that this has already been negotiated. You see Lanau come from behind the stall, sort of holds up his hands a little bit. Yes, in all good faith, this has been negotiated. There is no need for violence.
I'll bring her forward.
You bring her forward. You watch sort of the same men that were behind the priestess who continue to stay there. They get a little bit of separation between the two of them, like between them. You see them not fan out, but just prepare to see if there's an issue. They carry a very similar weapon to what you carry. It's a long spear.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how spears work.
Right.
You see the woman in red, not the one that you have, of course, covered in a what is it, like a sack? You have barley or something like that, or is it?
I think it was a fish sack.
Fish sack. It's a fish sack. That's right. Yes, fish sack. So her head is covered in a fish sack still. But this other lunar priestess, at least that's what you assume that she is, she steps forward just slightly and sort of reaches out towards the woman.
Not quite yet. I'll take care of the bag.
Okay, you're going to take the bag off her head?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't take the bag off her head. Is that what she was looking like she was doing?
No, it looks like she was like more like reaching out to her to come hither, so to speak.
No.
Like,
I'll take the bag off anyhow. I mean, at this point.
Yeah. You see the priestess you've captured gives you a look. She struggles a little bit against her mouth being bound, but she doesn't really like physically struggle. All of the armored men have a very like noticeable physical reaction. I'd like to know though, as to not pass over this moment without some focus on it. Whom among us has hatred lunars?
Faisal does.
Alara does.
Finn definitely does.
Interesting. Seeing this many soldiers reminds each one of you with that hatred passion that they occupy the capital of your nation. And that's really difficult to take. That's when they notice her, you see them get even more distance between one another. And people get a little itchy.
Give us her ransom. You can have her back, and we'll go our separate ways.
Tell me, Lunar Guard that you spoke with, that spoke to you earlier, speaks up again. Tell me, where was she seized from? What battle?
The battle in the Vale.
What Vale?
With the Heraborn.
Who?
You don't even know where your own priestesses are?
No. No, Heraborn. He turns.
The decimation of Cliffshield and its surrounding area as Lysana steps up, eyes blazing with hate. You don't even know the people you destroy, the lives you sacrifice for your what? Your glory? We kept her alive. We provided her better than what our people were provided. That alone should be enough for you to see what we have.
Interrupt me again and you'll lose your tongue.
Small price to pay for my people.
Your people were declared gone by your king, Kangharl.
She's here. She's alive. She was cared for. She was fed. And we made sure that no injury came to her.
We will see.
Believe me, she could have very easily have ended up under the blade, just on the nice end. We afforded her the respect, and Lysana proudly spits that out, respect that a prisoner should be afforded. Why draw this out?
Lysana, please.
They don't care. They don't give a damn.
Of course they don't. That's not for here. Now.
Hold to your word. And Lysana turns and walks to the back of the group.
Children. The priestess looks at you and says, if my sister has been unharmed and unsullied by your people, then all the better. We honor the terms of the agreement. You took her in battle, and you've returned her.
Unfortunately, I can't say the same for the dozen soldiers that came with her. And I look at the guards in the back.
Yeah, no, I mean, certainly the entire group is sort of being like sized up this entire time. War has its costs. It is not one the Emperor wishes to wage.
Well, then he should leave.
Aye, this is his space. Do you not see the red moon in the sky every day? The goddesses bless you with their favor when that, just by seeing it, just by it being here.
Do not feel the earth under your feet, the wind, the sun. Is this land not theirs?
We honor and respect Ernalda for her position, even if her children cannot understand how to speak correctly. And of course, we honor the sun. It is important to us as well. The middle air, we rule. And that is something the Orlanthe will have to come to accept.
For now.
This is hardly the point of our meeting, is it? We should get on with it.
Certainly. Foster, pay them. You watch that lead guard not object to the order, but you can tell that he is not pleased she gave it. He goes back to the men behind her and acquires a large sack and walks over to you and extends his hand with that heavy sack in it.
And I'll extend my hand, grab it.
It's heavy as hell. You probably have never held that many coins in your hand.
Ew.
He turns to the priestess you've captured and grabs her arm. Not roughly by any means, but takes hold of her and walks her back. The priestess with the sapphire eyes says, "My name is Incarne. I am a part of the Seven Mothers Temple. You are welcome to come and learn about the New Age anytime. It would do you well. Oh, before we leave, it would be remiss of me to not ensure you understand, as I'm certain your Asari's merchant will tell you soon enough. That bounty, of course, will be taxed."
Well, naturally.
"So, in some way, then, we thank you. Your taxes, of course, will help run Boldhome. Now, Seven Mothers bless and keep you." She turns around and the guards sort of fold the diamond pattern around her, and the other priestess walk off.
Finn breathes a heavy sigh of relief.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody here in the space probably holds their breath for a minute or two when they leave. All the other merchants.
Varghast?
Yes.
I have never been so happy to see someone walk away from me. Now, can we get a drink?
Yes. But I want to do something first.
Hey.
Yep. I'll turn to the merchant.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way to change this into something more portable?
He looks over at it. Potentially. I could write you writs, which would serve as a sort of an accounting. And for a small fee, work to exchange the money. But it is an awful lot of money.
Right. That's why I don't want to carry it around with me.
No, of course not. I wouldn't. I would find a bank. He glances around.
Let me guess.
We just so happen to have those services here.
Well, what do you know?
Well, then let's get to it.
All right. So when you go through it, what you find is Landau becomes your exchanger. He counts out 2,500 Ls. He tells you that there's likely going to be a 15% tax on this. And with that tax, you'll need to make sure that gets into the hands of the right people. It is something that the bank can't do for you, simply because you're the person that was part of the exchange. But they can put you in the right direction. So 15% of it, which I'm not certain how strong Varghast is in math, but he tells you that you're going to have to immediately deduct 375 Ls and pay the bounty tax here. You will make many new friends with the tax collectors immediately. But the benefit is that no one will come try to find you for missing taxes. The next thing you should probably do is you should go and stay at a fine inn and have a few cups of strong brew to celebrate your victory. And he knows just the place.
Of course he does.
Well, he's an Asari's merchant. He knows his job is to know people and places.
I mean, heck, he probably invests in that place.
That's possible. I wouldn't say it's impossible. I would say it's possible. But he tells you that there is a place not terribly far, reasonably speaking, that you could go. You'd have to go down past a couple of the larger buildings on some of the streets. He sort of gives you a directions. He said, I could supply you with a map if you'd like.
For a cost.
Of course. And it's an exchange of services. Right?
I'm afraid to breathe in here.
Oh, we don't charge for that.
Yet.
I will tell you this. If you head back the way you came and then pass by the horse markets, go around past the royal area, but if you head past the royal keep, and you will eventually find a road which will lead you to Joe's, which you should absolutely go to. It's an inn. It's a respectable place until it's not a respectable place. And the innkeeper there is a wonderful person, and he will be happy to help you get just celebratorily drunk.
I'm familiar with it. I stayed there on my way up here.
Well, this just sounds like divine mandate. Shall we?
Lead the way.
Absolutely.
So he provides you a couple of things. He provides you a map of Boltholm. It's relatively detailed. He recommends you carry no more than 20% of the L's that you have, which remaining would be still quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
He can portion out some of for you, or perhaps for the group, depending upon how you wish. Now would be that time before we begin portioning out.
What do we all want to be in charge of our own money?
I think so.
Yes.
Seems the group has spoken.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to work as the exchange for all of you.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So in that way and method, then, I would recommend that perhaps 100 L's apiece to start.
Yeah, that works.
Sounds reasonable.
Young people in the big city with money in their pocket, what could possibly go wrong?
Oh, I have an entire list.
And none of us have seen 100 L's ever, so,
That's a lot of money, yeah. Okay, so that, when you started with 2,500 after tax and after the map and the exchange and services and the 600, which you are divvying to all, amongst the six of the group here, or the five of the group here, sorry.
Faisal is not expecting any money because they were not part of the capture.
No, but you were part of the transport, so.
Yes. Mm-hmm. They'll be surprised, but they'll take it.
So that will leave you with a remainder of 1,600 L's, which I will place in reserve. And then, because it would simply be untoward to keep it here, I just need you to understand that the money will be placed on promissory notes. And those notes will be in my possession until you have need of money. The money itself will go to the vault to be protected. He sort of looks around and then hands you a map of Boltholm. It's a big world, and it's a big city. There's a lot of things in it. Celebrate while you can.
Thank you.
Of course. Of course. And by all means, see Boltholm. Dwarves helped build this city. It is a wonderful and ancient place. He sort of like scoops the money. Just carefully sort of pulling it into like a wheelbarrow or something.
It's like a bricklayer's hob.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, you have a map of Boltholm.
Before we set out, I want to pull them into a corner for a moment and have a little chat before we go. Just for a moment.
Wait, how old is Faisal?
Faisal's 20.
No, so the oldest out of all of us. So yeah.
So I'll just gesture for everyone to stop in a quieter corner for a moment. I know you don't know me, but I need you to listen to me for a moment. And I'm making direct eye contact with Lysana. I understand the hatred. I understand the passion and the rage and the fury. But you're in a different place now. You're in a city. You are surrounded by the Lunars. You have to keep a bridle on your tongue, lest you get others hurt. You will get people hurt if you let yourself explode at a moment's provocation. Let the rage build. I have some similar rage myself, but you have to learn to contain it to some extent to protect the people around you, including all of you. This is not a place where you can simply draw swords and get into a fight if someone takes something the wrong way. There are other people around, there are laws, and there is an overwhelming lunar force here. Take this with all due respect. I am trying to keep you safe, and I am trying to keep the others in this city safe. You have to be careful what you say.
In my prayers, Arnalda herself stated something similar. For now, I shall hold my tongue. I shall bind my hands. I do not wish to see more of... Oh, you're right. You are right. There will be a time and there will be a reckoning. But this is not that time. Maybe it's just been so much. Maybe a night of drink and food and a soft bed and just forget, or at least put aside, would probably do us all good. Not every fight needs to be in the forefront. Sometimes revenge is best served when they least expect it.
Shall we go? I'm in the mood for a drink.
Finn's already over by the door doing that kind of like little kid already wants to go. Like, come on.
Yes, I think several rounds would be an excellent idea. God knows. Goddess and gods know that, yeah, we need this. Toast to those who are no longer with us, if nothing else.
So, taking your leave of the merchant space here, you're going to pass by a couple of interesting buildings. So, one of those buildings that you're going to end up passing by after making your way sort of back the way you came along the river is you're going to see a building that rings pretty profoundly to you, Faisal, and that is the Temple of the Household of Death. So this temple at one point was pretty famous. The Household of Death was also pretty famous. It has since died out, and when it did, local Humakti have sort of taken up residence and occasionally use it to honor Humakti. You'll also end up passing the Royal Library. It's a building that's been built in the shape of a truth rune. And for those who seek knowledge, this is a treasure trove, provided that you can get past its doors and its sages who likely covet the books inside of it quite often. But beyond those, you sort of continue your journey around home. And as you're going through the streets, obviously you're meeting or coming in contact with lots of different people. So there are certainly people here who are wearing very common Sardarite fashions, right? They might be simple or basic, but they're home and they feel centered based on what you have watched your entire lives. And then there are also Sardarites here who are clearly lunarized. They have changed the way that they appear. And so they're wearing their hair differently. They are wearing very obvious signs of lunar deities. There's a lot more red and golds and greens and other colors in their makeups. I think it's something that each of the characters would get a sense of as you walked the streets. That things you couldn't possibly have imagined when you were still living in the Vale. Certainly there was the understanding that there was war. Certainly you were aware that the flame here in Bold Home, the flame of Sartar, was extinguished. and that the city had been under occupation. But it's more than that. You think back to coming into the city and thinking about the men you saw on guard, and now not being so certain that those must have been lunar guards, or they must have been lunarized Sartorites, far more than you expected. And it's not as if there isn't a big reminder in the sky. So it's important to contextualize it a little bit here for our audience and for our players, in that the red moon is visible all the time in the sky. Roughly speaking, not that you would probably understand the distance, but it's about 6,000 kilometers in the sky. And so it hangs in the sky all the time. It never dims, in the sense that like it's always present. And as the phases of the red moon change, that is sort of what you see at night based on your viewpoint. So you get to see the phases of the moon based on where it's at. So it brings home a little bit more the feeling of the occupation, right? It is that overriding sense that you are being watched, that there is a presence here that is unescapable. And that's when you make the climb up some of the ridges here in the roads, after seeing a sign for Joe's Inn. You pass some of the more, I would just say, probably some of the more royal spaces. You get to see some of the temples and some of the palaces that were there as you move through. Beautiful architecture. And honestly, the royal area itself, which is up on a hill. So as you pass and you go towards Geo's, it's on your left. And you see the stairs that go all the way up to the royal spaces there. And that's where Sartar's palace is, right? And at the point of this ridge on the mountains is where the flame used to be, right? You can still see the stand, but you can't see the flame that used to be there. And it's, from the stories anyway that most of you have heard, it was exceptional. It was a wonder that they snuffed out when they took the city. But after you pass it, you eventually come to a road that leads to the inn. Goes up a little bit into the hills, and you are, I think assaulted is a strong word. You are assailed by music and people singing and what sounds like people having a really, really, really good time. Also, somebody rolls out the front door and like down the hill.
Oh, seems like a fun place. I like this place already.
I'll lead the way in.
Okay. You get to the door. And when you get to the door, there are people standing in front of it. A couple of well-muscled men are standing in front of it. And one of them holds his hand up. Only friends of Joe's allowed.
We're looking for lodging and bed and food and drink.
Looks amongst you. No lunars allowed at Joe's either.
I would hope not.
Fuck the lunars.
Well, I like her, you hear the other guy say.
Finn brightens up. You're telling me that we get a meal and we get a bed and a drink, lunar free?
Well, maybe, the smaller guy says. He sort of looks at you, Faisal. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry, I didn't realize. I hope everything's okay. Yeah, come on in.
It's all one in Heller, I say with a smile.
Oh, yeah. He nods, like, understanding. Of course. So Joe's is a really jumping place. All sorts of things are going on in here. There are people playing games, dice, cards. There are people playing musical instruments. This feels like a festival, but it's compressed like inside a physical building. There's a long bar at one end. There is an oversized man who is pouring drinks. And there's just all manner of things going on in here. People are eating and people are talking. But when the door opens, like everybody looks up to see who comes in the door. And then Not that the party stops. There's no, record scratch sound or anything like that. But there is a discernible understanding that new people have come in.
I'm home. This place is fantastic.
I'll lean over to Faisal. Is there a holiday or something?
This is just how it is in Joe's. My kind of place.
I mean, if we had to live in the city, I would probably hang out here a lot too. Well, drinks aren't gonna drink themselves. Where do we? There, that way.
I shepherd them up to the bar. I've realized they've probably never been in a place like this before.
Probably not. Nope. Your first bar. Not your last, hopefully. You see a man next to the sort of large man who continues to pour drinks. You see a man who's probably about 5'10", maybe 5'11". He's got dark brown hair, probably cut to his chin or so. He has obvious 5 or maybe even 7 o'clock shadow at this point. He's got a pretty warm smile, and he has an apron on, and it looks like he is just rinsing off his hands with like a towel. And he puts it on the bar, and he says, come in, sit or stand, your choice.
I've walked enough.
Yeah, we'll sit down.
Happy to have you here at Joe's. Would you care to share in our hospitality?
Yes, we would.
Good. Is this your first time at Joe's?
It is our first time at Joe's.
He smiles.
Not mine. Theirs.
Oh, no, I think I've seen you around before.
Just a couple nights ago.
Well, as is a right, your first time, your first drink's on me.
That's very generous.
He begins pouring you,
Goodness.
looks like a mead.
I'm going to have to come in here for the first time more often. Thanks.
The name's Privis. He sets the drinks down.
Vargast.
I'm Finn.
I'm Alara, Lysana. That's Alara.
He smiles.
I'm whatever she called me.
And I'm Faisal. Pleasure to see you again.
Indeed. So, why did it take you so long? Well, the mead, by the way, is fantastic. It's a young mead, you can tell, but it seems to fit the season.
Took us so long?
Yeah, what brings you in?
Oh, we had business in Boltholm.
Ah, well, capital to such a place, there's so many different types of business going on.
Like to see that there's no moon roof. Finn says with a sneer.
Oh, no, not here, friend. Not ever.
Appreciate that.
Getting a vibe of this crowd, a lot of you begin to notice that the people here who are at the edges sort of share a commonality. They're either drunk or they look like they're nursing sort of long-term wounds. There's an awful lot of people in here that have seen combat. Like a good 60 to 70% of the people in here.
Say, Privis, is this where people go to lick their lunar wounds?
Well, we do what we can. Joe's is about hospitality. It's about making sure that everybody who's supposed to feel at home feels at home. And when we can, and when it is able, we work to help them recover. It's important when you've been spending a majority of your life at war to be able to find something to do when you're no longer able to. And so some of the folks here sweep the floor. They change out the sleeping straw. Maybe they cook. Some of them even brew. Quite a few tales here, as you can imagine. Stories that will just go on forever.
Stories, you say? Well,
Of course.
Privis, I appreciate your place, and it's nice to have some place to call home.
Oh, whoa, hang on.
Or at least home-like.
Yeah, home is a careful word around here, friend. Just because home, we want to make sure people understand Joe's is an inn, and we're happy to, of course, exchange coin for bed.
I'm merely a turn of phrase. I don't plan on staying here anywhere long enough.
I think he means more of a third place. There's home, and then there's those other places that feel comfortable and enjoyable, places that they would prefer to be at versus places they would not prefer to be at.
Well, the nice part about Joe's is that they're everywhere. I mean, there's one up north in Johnstown. There's one in Swenstown. There's one in Runegate. I wouldn't go to Aldachur's anytime soon, but there is one there if you end up there. I mean, they're all over the place. Heck, even last stop, if you end up heading out towards Brax.
Well, that's good to know. Speaking of inns, we also need some lodging.
I can help you out with that. Now, the easiest way to do this would be to find out how many spaces you need. Usually, I can fit about 4 or 5 folks per space.
Then how do we want to do this?
Well, there's 5 of us. Do we want 1?
We'll take 2 spaces.
2 spaces?
Indeed.
Okay.
Wait, how many beds are in each of these spaces?
Beds. He sort of looks at you with a mischievous smile. Well, there's some blankets and some straw, but beds as a traditional sense is a little different.
Okay, how much straw is it more,
How many can you fit?
You can fit 5 folks. Yeah, well, maybe 4.5 with you in that space. So listen, 2 spots, I can probably work them next to each other. I don't know if there are folks here who want privacy or something like that.
I think he's thinking of the women in one and men in another.
Oh. Are you sure you're Suderites? He sort of chuckles.
Faisal is laughing so hard right now. They tried they really tried to hide it like behind a hand, but they're just guffawing.
You're not from around here, he points at you. Like he sort of lifts his hand and sort of points to him. Where are you from? Is this the first time you've been to Bold?
Yes.
Yeah. That obvious.
We've led a sheltered life.
Very.
He puts his hand. So I would just say, and I'm not here to tell you what to do, friend. You do it as makes you feel comfortable, provided no harm comes to anybody else. I would just say that provided the group of you are friendly enough, probably 1 space will fit. If you really want to, I will happily rent out 2 of them if that's what you want. But most of the folks around here get real comfortable with one another after a few cups anyway.
1 then.
Yeah, I don't think we have to go more than 1. We should be fine.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. You find a table or something, and we will get some stew out to you, and we will make sure you have a spot to rest your head tonight. Because I'm certain that you're going to get an opportunity to have a lot more mead before you go. Just don't walk out the front door.
Okay.
You could bring me some vegetable stew of some kind if you have anything going. I would appreciate it.
Certainly. Anybody else have any particular things they need that I can help you with?
No, just food and drink.
Fair enough. So in short order, Privis directs you to a nearby table that has magically become open. He sets out drinks and stew, breads, cheeses, that sort of thing. Not in gross amounts, but something. And then he sort of lets you be. And it does take a little time for everybody here to, save for maybe Faisal, to absorb the things that are going on. You hear all sorts of different tales throughout the day and night, depending on how late you stay, drinking. it's clear here that people participated in some pretty ugly battles. Stuff that your father probably participated in too. You hear a lot of stories from the first rebellion. You hear a lot of people grumble about the lunar occupation. And then there's probably even the undercurrent of people who lost parts of themselves in battle. And they struggle at wanting to do something and not being able to. But it's not all sad and stories, but that is part of it.
Probably as the night goes on, it gets more maudlin.
Oh, I would say, yeah. There are a couple of times when the door opens that people are going out that you can tell that there are occasionally you'll see people who are trying to get in but not allowed in. And then after a while, Previs comes over to the table and says, you mind if I sit?
No, be my guest. I mean, we're your guests, but...
You're thinking like one of us already. So, you've drank here now. You've had our food, shared in hospitality. And I think what I want to do is make sure that you get set off in the city on the right foot if I can. I'd like to offer you membership.
Membership?
Yeah, membership.
In what?
Oh, to being a friend of Joe's.
Membership to get into here.
Sorta, yeah, but not just here. Any geos.
Oh, I didn't know you had to be a member.
Well, you had somebody with you that we recognize, which is...
Finn is already shuffling through his pouch looking for money.
So how would anybody know we were friends of Joe's?
Well, he sort of deftly pulls out what looks like a coin from his pocket. See this?
Yeah.
He lifts it up. This is a membership coin. He places it down on the table. There's like a really hard sound that comes from it. You step up. You visit a Joe's. You show them that. You get in.
How much would this membership cost?
Well, you got to pay dues. That's just part of it. Right? So we'll say it's about what you can afford. I don't know how much money you have on you, but that's not the point. The bulk of our membership is made up of people just like you. The folks in here are just trying to be as comfortable as possible. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
The bulk of our membership doesn't sit in the bar and drink day to day to day. They'd like to, but they're out adventuring. They're out finding their space in the world. They're coming back with tales, and they're maybe occasionally doing things to stick their thumb in the eye of maybe the occupational force. And when they come back, they spend their money. They give us a little bit to help keep Joe's going. And then all these people benefit. He sort of extends his hand out here.
Oh, well, I mean, supporting a local establishment, I understand, would be a good thing, especially those who assist such brave warriors and supports. I, for one, think I would like to become a member and help support the golden sun, shining down upon us versus the optional.
Fabulous.
And I might be able to help. I'm a healer. I'd be happy to possibly help provide some services to those in need.
Perhaps. Got to understand, of course, that most of these weary have already had their time and attempts to go through that process. It's not like, Chandra Aloy or any of the other healers have not tried. Sometimes when you lose a finger or a wrist or a leg, you never get it back. And then after you show your medal for a little while, you come back and we can talk about how you progress. You don't even need the coin anymore.
Well, I'm intrigued. I think there's something I think we could do. What did the rest of you think?
Finn is holding out his money with a look on his face that says that he wishes the guy would stop talking and take his money.
Yeah, but I think Lysana is pretty much right there with you.
It's just one all to get started.
What are the chances with all the traveling I do, I'm already a member?
I think it's likely.
Okay.
I mean, you got in here once, right?
Yes.
We didn't go into it as deep, of course.
So what other benefits are there for being a member of Joe's?
Joe's? Benefits, I mean.
Besides entry to an inn?
Mm-hmm. Entry to an inn.
Well, do all your inns keep lunars out?
Well, understand that we are mostly apolitical. The keeping lunars thing out is sort of a personal touch here. We do it under times of stress, mostly because the occupational force here wants to do nothing more than harass us. And frankly, they see Joe's here as a hotbed of outlaw activity, which we can neither confirm nor deny.
Already sold me. I don't think you need to keep selling.
I would just say, as far as benefits go, you're going to hear things here that you wouldn't hear other places. You're going to hear about opportunities. You're going to hear legends. They don't tell those stories outside these walls. Now, maybe they're a little, lubricated by various drinks, but stories are I mean, what are you going to do with the rest of your life except tell stories, experience them, and hopefully make a mark, right?
That's the plan. Maybe burn some things down.
Hey, just leave this place alone, okay?
Oh, you're safe.
That's the other thing, too. Membership does have some of its own requirements. If for whatever reason we're troubled, members are expected to stand up and protect the place. If someone were to try to break in, we hold the door. Under no circumstances are they allowed in. I think it'd be fun, since you've all been here for a little while now, all of you to give me a roll for something. I would like you to make me a scan roll.
That's a 45 over 25. Lysana is no.
51 over 40.
Okay.
27 under 35.
Very good.
51 over 40.
45 over 25.
I like this. I love this. So, Finn, one of the things that you pick up on, a little tiny note that you begin to pick up on is not only on Previs, but on other people here. You see that there is a small brand on his right little finger. It's not just him. It's on that guy over there and that lady and that person. And wow. All in the same place.
Finn attempts to take, a better look at it when he can casually during conversation, not like openly staring at the dude's hand, but maybe even while he's in conversation around the room over the night, he makes acquaintance with somebody and, charmed, I'm sure, so that he can take their hand and look closer at it.
Yeah, it almost looks like a star pattern. Like an asterisk. I think that's the best visual representation. It's not a rune. Not in the traditional sense. But you pick up on it. So, the group spends some time finally getting a chance to relax, finally getting a chance to eat. And between the drink and the food, bread, and the exhaustion, you're going to get a chance to sleep pretty soon thereafter. Is there anything that any of my Sartorites would like to do before we retire to sleep from this episode?
Finn is so ready for a soft bed. He leaps into the air and is asleep before he actually hits the covers. I don't know about soft bed, but...
Straw is pretty soft.
Faisal is going to stay up later than everyone else, drinking with the other patrons of the bar and telling stories and probably singing way too loud.
Yeah, there is definitely singing that goes on in here. And so there's quite the number of songs that you hear. Especially, you hear Sartar the Brave in here that gets sung. This is a very common song. You're sort of bellowing it out. The rest of the locals hear Faisal. And everybody always like overdoes the second verse. Everybody just caterwauls the entire thing. Mostly because they're drunk, but it's something to behold.
I think Lysana would, before she closes her eyes and loses herself in sleep, because at this point she's exhausted, and she quietly says a prayer to Arnalda. It's a combination of I'm sorry for my hot-headedness, and thank you for guiding us to at least this safe, seemingly safe establishment. I don't know what comes next, but I move forward in your auspices and under your guidance. And may my mother and all those we loved who now rest within your bosom, hold to them and send our love to them. That one day we will also see them again. And then she loses herself to sleep.
A wonderfully restful beginning to your sleep for all of you. And so we're going to bring our episode to a close there. I want to thank you all for joining us. We survived our first official day in Boldhome. No bets on day 2. So thank you and good night.